Good morning, everybody. Look, I got a new t-shirt. Freedom and liberty. Well, let's talk about freedom and liberty. Of course, I always address every day, and also today, I address the real freedom of speech. Yeah? And so, how can you call disembodied language the way in which we usually talk? Yeah? The way in which we usually talk is not the freedom of speech. As a matter of fact, it is completely opposed to the freedom of speech, because if I do not listen to myself, if I engage in what I call disembodied language, then I am not listening to myself, and then I force whatever it is that I say, I force that on other people. And it doesn't matter whether I force my misery on you, or whether I force my opinion on you, my power, because I am so important and I'm so capable of getting away with it because I am the authority. And so this is what we do with our disembodied language. In disembodied language, speakers dominate listeners, period. And they do it with all sorts of negative manipulation, domination, intimidation, humiliation, distraction, you name it. So that's our usual way of talking. Now, our usual way of talking is against the freedom of speech. It is not freedom of speech. It is just the person who wins the argument, the person who can dominate the best, who can exploit the best, who can manipulate the best. That is the person who supposedly is right, and who gets to have his or her say, and who gets to have power over other people. And this is in every realm of society the case. So the embodied language that I am talking about, the embodied language, that is what is really the freedom of speech. Embodied language. This is what you are now hearing as embodied language. And so in embodied language, nobody has any power over anybody. There's no need to have any power over anybody. There's no need to demand anyone's attention. There's no need to fight, because there's no threat. There's no struggle, no conflict. So, to me, if we are ever going to solve our problems, address our problems, describe these problems correctly, we cannot avoid addressing the issue of the difference between our disembodied language and our embodied language, because we engage in disembodied language all the time, unconsciously, without even realizing it. And so what I am saying, this way of talking that I am letting you know about, and that I just make these recordings just because I like to speak like this. And I just want you to know there's nobody out there to have this with. Nobody's interested in this. And why is that? It's because we're all conditioned to have disembodied language. I was conditioned to have disembodied language just like everybody else. But somehow, because of my interest in this topic, I have been able to stop my own disembodied language. And now I'm having ongoing embodied language. Isn't that nice? And yes, I'm only having, of course, embodied language with those who want to have it. I'm not going to try to have it with those who don't want to have it, because then I would be doing exactly what I was just describing. Then I would be engaging myself in disembodied language. That's how it is. So it has taken me quite some time to be able to understand and to be able to accept and to be able to acknowledge and also yeah learn how to live with, because that's also what it is. You have to learn how to live with embodied language. I had to learn how to live with my embodied language, and and actually I'm still, yeah, this my t-shirt, yeah, I'm still yeah, finding my freedom, my own liberty, yeah, with my language, with my embodied language. And that's why I every day talk with myself, yeah. And I was at the gym this morning, and I did some of my exercises, and then I sat on a bicycle, you know, the stationary bicycle, and I was watching some of the TV stations, and yeah, so you watch the news a little bit, and I normally don't watch a whole lot of news anymore, but in this case, yeah, you know, you see it, and luckily there's no sound, so you only read the letters. And it doesn't really matter what they were talking about, it's always the same. There's always fighting, there's always conflicts, there's always arguments. It is always disembodied language that we're hearing. And yeah, it was very clear to me that that nobody is having embodied language. And so yeah, we can never really get over all these differences. We can never solve any of our problems, really, because the language to do it is not there. Yeah, we do not have the same language. And another way of saying that is, of course, also that what language means to one person is, of course, meaning something totally different to the other. And we're all on the same page if we have embodied language. That's the only time when we agree. And our agreement is strangely enough not an agreement with each other, but an agreement with ourselves. And so that's also the issue that is really not addressed, that in what I call disembodied language, people do not even agree with themselves, and they don't even realize it. They are very forceful in their opinions, and oh yeah, it should be like this, it should be like that, but they do not hear themselves. So how can you be in agreement with yourself if you do not even hear your own sound like I do? Yeah, I hear my own sound, and that's why I can talk like that. And I can talk like that with other people. Yeah, I can talk like this with other people who also have embodied language. Everybody can have embodied language, but we don't, because we do not listen to ourselves, and we want other people to listen to us, or we are trying to listen to other people, but we're not listening to ourselves. And so, yeah, are we going to do that? Are we going to listen to ourselves and have embodied language? Good morning. Yeah, are we going to listen to ourselves one day? I hope so. I am. And I am, in that sense, a unique person. Yeah, it is true that I live here in this small town in Chico, North California, but nobody in this town comes to talk with me to say like, hey, of course, you are right. Not because you're trying to convince me, no, but I've listened to your videos, I've heard you, I felt you, I have read your work, because I also have a blog. The blog is called Sound Verbal Behavior. And so if you've read my blog, if you have listened to some of my videos, you have seen me a couple of times, you have felt me, yeah. If you've done that, you cannot miss what I'm talking about. And if you miss it, then it's not so much missing, you're dismissing it. So you willingly reject it because, yeah, it goes against your beliefs. Your beliefs, which of course are supposedly more important than this, which of course they aren't. Yeah, this morning I was writing about humor, and I was calling it discovery humor. I hope you get a chance to read it. And I will, on my other channel, I have another channel, another YouTube channel. I will read that text out loud so you can also listen to it there. But in any case, discovery humor, I figured, is of course a different kind of humor than the humor we are used to, because it deals with our own intelligence, it deals with our own reasoning. And our own reasoning is of course the correct use of our language in terms of our own experience. Yeah. So if you can have the language that fits with your experience, that describes your experience correctly, then your experience or your language, it will work to your benefit. And then your reasoning, it will solve all your problems. And you discover that your reasoning is actually very enjoyable, very funny, very simple, and very useful. So I have discovered that, and I talk about my discovery humor because I just enjoy my own language. I enjoy my own reasoning. And discovering your own humor is actually discovering your own reason about your behavior. Why is it that you find something funny? Well, it is because you liberate yourself. Yeah, you liberate yourself from something which previously you were stuck with. That is where the humor comes in, that has to do with you, your own humor. And so this is not humor about making other people laugh. No, this is humor in which you laugh about yourself. Yeah. And so, and it doesn't have to be that you're, I don't know, that you're going, maybe at some point you laugh really loud because you find it so funny and hilarious. But you can also just enjoy in a, you could say an easy way, enjoy in a subtle way, enjoy in a relaxing way. And so, to me, all of that is part of humor, but people have somehow excluded that from humor as if that is not good enough because we really need to laugh. But who says that? Who tells me that? I am not telling myself that. To me, humor is already beginning with me being good to myself, me being kind to myself, me being in touch with myself, me understanding myself rather than misunderstanding. And misunderstanding, once it is solved, once I solve my misunderstanding, then I'm having a good time because, I've done something good for myself. And it's very easy to have a misunderstanding about something. Because everybody is involved in disembodied language. So we are affected by that. and it's everywhere. And so I am affected by it. So I let myself know when I talk with myself that it's okay. I am doing my thing, and it's another beautiful day. And I hear in the distance the train hooting, and it's such a typical sound that you hear when you live here in Chico. And yeah, it would be great, if people would just become interested. But after having been busy with this for so many years, I don't have much hope that it will happen. So, and that's kind of also pleasant for me. It's kind of enjoyable to say that, because I don't have to be busy with it anymore, and I'm not concerned about, other people getting this. But I have been, and it's very likely that I will still sometimes become concerned about it, because it is, of course, really what is needed, and yet nobody wants to know about it. Yeah, that's how it is. And I can say it, so that's why I say it, and I say it to myself. Yeah, I don't tell you because you are not here, and I'm not gonna create something for you to participate in, whether it's a class or a seminar or whatever. No, I'm just doing my own thing. I ride my bicycle, I live my life, and I make these videos. I write my writings on my blog, Sound Verbal Behavior. You can read it, you can listen to it, and then if you begin to take it serious, then perhaps maybe one day, then one day you can come and talk with me, and we will have this wonderful embodied language together. Yeah. But until that day, I will not get along with you. I will not get involved with you. I will move away from you. I will stay away from you. I have nothing to do with you. I'm glad I'm not with you. I really am, because you are, in that sense, always negative. You are always having a negative effect on me, and I don't want that in my life. I want to continue with this. So I yesterday said that I need this, and I do, I need this. I need this to live. And everybody actually needs this, but you don't want to know. Okay, well then you don't have this. I have this, and I know what it is like to have this. I feel so good about it. I feel so fortunate, also grateful, fortunate, and also proud. Because nothing of this has come by itself. It is in my life because I make it so. Because I not so much decide, but I do what it takes to have this. And you don't. That's why you don't have this. And so I'm going to continue to speak my truth. And I this morning I read something about Harvard University. They have in their logo they have this word veritas. Veritas means truth. And I was wondering, why even have that in your logo if none of your hotshots there is interested in this? There is no truth without embodied language, and whatever we consider to be truth is actually falsehood. And so this is an important matter, good morning, which has not been addressed. People talk with each other regardless of where they are, and they talk with each other in the same way as they have always done. Yeah? The way in which people talk with each other hasn't changed since the beginning of time. And so we have always been trying to dominate each other. We've always been trying to exploit each other, to fight with each other, to outdo each other. This has been the history of mankind. And real human interaction is not like that. And it's just astonishing that even the most intelligent people, even the most studied people, the most educated people, they are not willing to consider this. Isn't that something? I mean, look at me. Just listen to me. This is not some sort of an opinion. This is not some theory. We can have this kind of conversation with each other. I'm not asking your attention. I'm not demanding your attention. I'm not going to argue with you about this. You can, just like I do, you can listen to yourself. And if you do, then we'll talk like this. There's no argument. To the contrary, we are delighted to talk with each other if we talk with each other like this. And we will be very, very clear, as as Biden's press secretary keeps repeating. Oh yeah, Joe Biden has been very clear, says Karine Jean-Pierre. No, Biden has never been very clear. Biden has never had any embodied language. And neither has she, or neither has Trump for that matter, because this issue is completely unaddressed. And the question is, when are we ever going to address it? Are we ever going to address it? It hasn't happened. And so I'm addressing it because I can. I'm addressing it because I just enjoy addressing it. I find it, to this very day, so enjoyable to address this issue. I do this purely because I enjoy it. And I have nothing better to do than this. And my life has moved in such a way that here I am riding my bicycle in the morning. Beautiful morning, the birds are singing. And I am just talking with myself about this, because to me it clarifies. Every time it clarifies the importance of my own ability to continue with my embodied language, because that I have had to clarify that many times. And anyone who will ever come to experiment with the difference between one's disembodied language, in which one does not listen to oneself, and one's embodied language, in which one listens to oneself. If you ever get to it, that you are going to sort of acknowledge, like, okay, there is a difference. There is definitely a difference. Now, okay, so if you really begin to experiment what it takes, what does it take to continue with your embodied language, and to stop your disembodied language, to step out of your history of conditioning? What does it take? Well, then you will have to admit, like I do, that you will have to revisit this many, many times. There's no other way. Because that's how conditioning works. Our conditioning is basically dealing with the fact that we have been reinforced for having disembodied language, but we have not been reinforced for embodied language. So when you are going to continue with your embodied language, it becomes important for you that you stimulate yourself with it, that you feel like, oh, I enjoy this, I like this, I want this, this is good, this is meaningful, this is enjoyable. Okay, so you enjoy it, you stimulate yourself with it. Now, that is self-stimulation, that is, they also call that automatic reinforcement. And then at some point, and actually that needs to happen fairly soon, and I'll explain again why. You need to fairly soon also get in touch with someone like me who knows how to have ongoing embodied language, because if you do not, your embodied language, which is based on your self-stimulation, it is not socially reinforced, and it will decline, it will stop. You will not be able to keep up with it if there is no social reinforcement for it. And the social reinforcement is a very interesting phenomenon, because the social reinforcement allows you to be more true to yourself about your need for self-stimulation. It's really interesting how that is. Yeah? Because like what I'm doing right now, yeah, this is all self-stimulation, what I'm doing right now. It's only when I talk with somebody else about this, and when somebody else enjoys together with me the embodied language, it's only then that my embodied language is socially reinforced. And I can tell you, I only know of actually 2 people. Yeah, there's my wife who enjoys it, and then there is my dear friend Annemiek in the Netherlands who enjoys it. And I should even say, since my wife, she lives with me, so she has been hearing this all these years of marriage that we have, all the 37 years of marriage that we've had. So she's not gonna be that interested to sit down with me to have long conversation about this, because we've had these conversations many times. And yeah, there's also a cultural difference between her and me, due to which, and a whole historical difference, due to which she doesn't have that strong of an inclination to want to go into this all the time with me. But the bottom line is, I'm happily married with her because she knows that this is what I'm about, and she knows that this is the basis of our marriage. Actually, you could say that my embodied language is basically the child, is born out of our relationship, out of our love for each other, that we are not fighting, that we are really communicating. So that is the social reinforcement that I got in my relationship with my wife. Yeah. And then of course there's my dear friend Annemiek, who, like I, is really exploring this embodied language in a way that nobody else is willing to. And she is talking with herself, exploring this. And yes, Annemiek and I, we both have an historical background, due to which we feel very strong motivation to want to do this. Because we've had, you could say, a difficult time when we were young, And now that we have found our own embodied language, we are going beyond the problems that we've been struggling with our entire life. And so it is just remarkable how, for people like us, Annemiek and me, how this has transcended our trauma, how this has improved our lives, how this has truly enlightened us. And and I should say, anybody who meets with her or who meets with me is going to feel that social reinforcement of their own embodied language. And we both tell other people, of course, that unless you explore this on your own, unless you talk with yourself and do what you need to do in terms of self-stimulation, it's not gonna continue. You don't have this because you don't do this, and you could only have this if you do this. So it's up to you. And we are just two people in the whole world who actually fully acknowledge the importance of recognizing the difference between embodied language and disembodied language. Because it's not accidental that we recognize that difference, because you can only recognize that difference if you can continue with your embodied language. You cannot address disembodied language with your disembodied language. That's what everybody is trying to do, and that's why we are just getting more and more into conflicts with each other. So there is this way of talking. I am showing you liberty and freedom. It's the communication of the freedom and our liberty. It is really about who we are. And we are not dominating anybody. We are not demanding attention from anybody. We are just speaking our truth. Veritas. We are truthful to our own experience. We are using our language to fit with our own experience. That is what embodied language is. Now, this is possible. This is necessary. This is the future of mankind, according to me, according to Annemiek. There is no other future than the future of the correct way of talking, in which everything begins to fit, in which everything falls into place. And so I represent something which is of tremendous importance, and yet I cannot deny that nobody's interested. Yesterday night I was at the open mic at Secret Trail and I had a song which was really quiet song, but I don't know, it didn't go so well. Maybe my song was just too soft, or there was some feedback from the microphones. I don't know. Maybe I was singing too close to the microphone or too far away. In any case, I didn't feel like my song was received very well. But it doesn't matter. What matters to me today is, and this is also part of why I make this video today and why I'm having this conversation with myself today. What matters is that I've known these people for many, many years, and none of them even comes up to me and talks with me. None of them is interested in what I say. Hi. None of them is willing to consider this. None of them. And they're all so Oh, supposedly they're also forward. They're so modern. No, they're not. They're all old-fashioned. They just want to dominate me. That's why I don't talk with them, because I'm just not reaching out anymore, because I kind of feel like all they care about is to dominate me, and I don't want them to dominate me. I do not tolerate that. So, yeah. So, and of course they probably have an opinion about me, which is as if I would want to dominate them, but it's not true. I don't want to dominate anybody. I just want to have embodied language with them, but that's something else. So they don't want to understand that. Nobody wants to understand that. And if anybody of them hears this, they would have to acknowledge that they are just afraid. They are just suspicious. They are judgmental. They are all the things that they say they are not. They believe that they are open, but they're not open. Yeah, they sing about love and about freedom, but they are not free. They're not loving. Their language doesn't reflect it. So they do not listen to themselves while they speak. I can sense that. And they know that I can sense that. And that's also why they don't like me. Because I don't fall into their game. Yeah, they all hug each other and they're so happy to see each other. But none of them is coming to sit with me or talk with me, or I don't know. Why not? Well, I can tell why not. Because it becomes very clear that if you talk with me, it becomes very clear that the embodied language that I've been speaking about all along is true, and the disembodied language everybody is involved in, it is just a bunch of lies. It's just a bunch of manipulations, a bunch of distractions, a bunch of beliefs which are not true. So, so if we are going to have this way of talking, then these beliefs, they will have to be left behind. They will have to be discarded. And I've discarded these beliefs. I don't have these beliefs. I don't need to have any belief. And this is another issue which many people can't seem to stomach, that there is a way of speaking in which we are not basing what we say on our beliefs. Somehow everybody seems to believe that you have to have a belief. I don't have any belief. Of course, nobody wants to hear that, or nobody wants to accept that, or I can only have embodied language because I don't have any belief. And anyone who is going to have some embodied language is going to have to be puzzled about the fact that whatever it was that they were believing, they see it evaporate in front of their very eyes. Or not so much it's not so much seeing it evaporate, it is more like hearing. You listen to yourself while you speak, you talk with yourself, and you realize, wow, just by talking with myself, whatever I supposedly was thinking, because that's inner language, doesn't exist, but okay, you believe that you are thinking is one of those beliefs that you have, it's all of a sudden is not there because you talk with yourself. How is that possible? Well, it is possible because it is the truth. You are not thinking. And now you have used your language correctly because you have spoken with yourself and you've listened to yourself, and that is what puts everything in perspective. Now, isn't that nice? So yeah, there's a lot to this. And your beliefs, once they are gone, yeah, because they will be gone, guaranteed. This is so funny to say that your beliefs are guaranteed to evaporate. And it's not because I or anyone is doing anything to demolish these beliefs. No, they never were true. And once you use your language correctly, it is very evident that the incorrect use of your language has given rise to all these weird beliefs, which are unimportant, which are meaningless. What matters is what you say. What matters is what you do while you speak. Yeah, right now I am riding my bicycle. But of course, you also would be listening to yourself while you speak and have embodied language. Yeah? So there are other things that you do besides talking. Yeah, you can also write and read. And you can write and read about your embodied language. Yeah? And then this writing and this reading, it will even result in a more, you could say, stable sense of your own ongoing embodied language, because now you have formulated for yourself what it is like to continue in writing, which can also be read by other people. So writing is, you could say, more stable than just speaking. It stays stays on the page. Yeah. So yeah, with writing you stay on the same page more easily, so to speak. And that's also why, of course, people generally speaking are trying to have things in writing. Yeah. However, another stuff that we have to still deal with in the future, of course, the writing that we have had was all based on our common disembodied language. There will be very, very different writing if we have embodied language. It should be totally obvious to you that what I say is true. Of course. And so the disembodied language has given rise to writing and also to ways of reading, ways of studying, if you will, which are problematic in that when you have writing and reading which derive from embodied language, then there's a whole different effect on the reader from such writing. Just like there is a different effect on the listener who hears a speaker who listens to himself. Anyways, that's something for future consideration, but definitely a very important matter, because, as I was saying, everything that has been written is written based upon our disembodied language. No literature has ever been produced except the literature that I produce, that Annemiek produces, which is based on embodied language. So, yeah, you don't want to believe it, of course. I understand. So, yeah, we are sitting with all these beliefs which are again reinforced, or which are again perpetuated by all these writings. That's I was trying to sort of just say that. Yeah. No, you don't have to read my writing. As a matter of fact, my writing is only important for understanding that you need to have your own writing, just like you have to have your own language. Yeah. Yeah. You can hear me having you can hear that I have my own language, that I have my embodied language, and you need to have your embodied language. And only then can we have embodied language together. Yeah? You are not making me have embodied language. I'm not making you have embodied language. No. We have our own embodied language, and then we can have embodied language together. And there's nobody demanding anything from anyone in embodied language. In embodied language, everything is just calm, easy, self-evident, pleasant, positive, enjoyable. A constant discovery also. A discovery of what can be said, and hello, hi. Have a good day. And that was perceptive. This lady, she meets me again and she says good morning again. That's cute. Hello. Yeah. So I feel right now that this is a moment in which I feel the quietness that happens when I've spoken for some time, and I like to let you know that you will also be able to feel that, just like I do. That is why it is so enjoyable, that after you are done, there's just nothing bothering you, nothing is remaining. You've said it all. You have lived up to your potential. You have used your intelligence. Yeah? You have followed your own reasoning. And you have fully expressed each thread, and if there's something more, you can still do it. But as you can tell, the silence beckons you, the silence invites you at some point to stop speaking, to stop being busy with language. And then there is no language. There's no language going on inside of you. There's no thought. There's no mind. No. You're just happy without language. And you can be this happy because you have, as I was saying, you have used your language correctly. Yeah? And again, the correct use is the way of talking in which you listen to yourself. And I still want to explain a little bit more about these other behaviors, because there's all these other things that you do besides having language. Language is a behavior, yeah? And so you speak, you listen, you write and you read. But there's all these other things that you do besides having language, I don't do too much besides this. No, I do. I read, or I walk, or I work out, or something like that. But in any case, there's these other things. Everything else is going to adjust to your language. And so everything that fits with your embodied language will stay, and everything that doesn't fit will go. So there's this selection process in which the behaviors that you have had, which belong to your disembodied language, they stop. They fall by the wayside. Just like this whole false belief in who you believe to be falls away. Also these behaviors, they just stop by themselves. You don't do anything to stop them. Initially, maybe you still believe that you are doing it, but no, it just happens by itself. And so, after you've spoken with yourself, after you have expressed yourself fully, and you feel so fortunate that you have done that, there is such a possibility to relax, because nothing is asking your attention, nothing is keeping you busy. And as I've said, there is no inner language. That whole myth has been completely debunked. And so your beliefs are not true, none of them. It doesn't really matter what you believe, yeah? There's no right or wrong about any belief. All these beliefs are just a burden. And in embodied language, you use your language fluidly, so all your beliefs are basically dissolving. And then, yeah, it is inevitable that you feel this silence, this spaciousness without language. It is just there. It is your non-verbal state, yeah, where you don't have any language, where language is not needed. Yeah. And you can just fully enjoy it because you have enjoyed your language. Yeah? So it's just like when you have gone on a hike or something like that, you can also fully enjoy sitting in a chair. Because you have enjoyed hiking the mountain. It's similar like this, you know. You've been on a journey with your language, and then you rest into your non-verbal being without language. And I know, I like to keep talking, you know. But it is happening, and for me it also just happens during the day, you know, after I've made this video, that I just feel how wonderful it has been that I made this video and that I have had this talk, yeah. And so, but of course it also happens while you're talking, and sometimes it happens immediately, and sometimes it happens at the end. It's quite interesting to see when it happens, when the silence announces itself. It's a very tangible moment. Maybe you suddenly feel tired, and then they say, oh no, it's not tiredness, it is actually silence. Yeah. Just when I am silent, you hear all these loud cars. Bunch of pigeons. You know, I'm riding my bicycle now along apartment complex here, and here's some sort of electricity, what is it, plant or something like that. I used to jog here, and none of these apartment buildings were there, and now this whole place is totally built up with these apartments. Yeah. Well, you can tell that silence is now, there. And it has been created by the way I used my language. Isn't that peculiar? When I come home, I need to feed the cats of the neighbor, and they are out of town. And when they're out of town, we feed their cats, and when sometimes we go out of town, they feed our cat. I'm looking forward to this very beautiful cat they have. They have 2 cats. You see these bicycles these days. Oops. These bicycles which are going automatically. I mean, it seems to me like takes the fun out of riding a bicycle. I like to pedal my own bicycle. I would never want to have one of those. Okay, we're almost there. And as you maybe can also tell, that I have a certain kind of high. Yeah, it's not runner's high, and it's not bicycle high. No, it is embodied language high. Morning. When you have embodied language, you feel so happy, so fulfilled. Yeah. And that, to conclude today's video, that of course is my language enlightenment. Yeah. All right, here's my street. Yeah, I'll show you the name of my street. It's called Hemming Lane. Hemming Lane, yeah. All right, have a good day.